Okay, everyone, it's Mr. Rops here, and we're going to solve equations with more than one variable. And so we have what we call simultaneous equations. As you can see here, it's called simultaneous equation. Let's make it a little thinner. And y equals x squared plus 7, and y equals minus 7x minus 3. Well, to get a sense what this is, when I look at this graph, first of all, I know it's going to be some kind of a parabola scenario. And when I look at this graph here, I know it's going to be some kind of a line. Because it's an x squared, a line, and a parabola, I'm going to be expecting to get two different types of solutions for it. And in this case, it's an x and a y I need, since they're both defined in this particular equation. So let's first, before we do anything, and we have the availability, our tech available, let's go to our graph, our Desmos graph, and see what it sees. So you can see over here, I've already put the equations in. And when I am my home screen, I don't actually see anything. So if I take this, and oh, there's one point of intersection. And here, oh, let me zoom in a little bit. Here is another point of intersection. Here. Here. And so I'm looking for negative 2, 11, and negative 5, 32 is what the answer should be. So there's a quick solution doing it graphically. If I'm asked to do it algebraically, though, that means I have to do it as such. And so what I'm going to do is I know that y is equal to this. So I'm going to substitute that y into here, because I know this is the y value, negative 7x minus 3. Well, the y is equal to x squared plus 7. I'm going to make all my equations, make one side equal to 0. So x squared, move the 7x over, it'll be plus 7x. Move the 3 over, I get 3 plus 7 will give me 10. And this will equal to 0. Factoring now, using my null factor method. And the magic question, what two numbers multiply to get 10? Well, I get 1 and 10, and 2 and 5, and add to get 7. Well, that's going to be 2 and 5. They're both going to be positive, since this is positive and this is positive. Using the null factor method, I can say now x plus 2 is 0, or x plus 5 equals 0. So x equals minus 2, and x is equal to minus 5. Well, at this point, though, I'm not finished, because in the question, I'm given an x and y to find. If the problem would have been posed this scenario here, there's no y here, okay? I would just solve for x, then I would be done. But the question is saying the simultaneous equation is x and y, I need to find the y value. Whether I plug it, use this part or this part, it doesn't matter. And so if I go y is equal to negative 2 squared plus 7, well, negative 2 squared is 4 plus 7 is 4 plus 7 gives me 11. And I could go negative 5 squared plus 7. Well, negative 5 squared is 25 plus 7 gives me 32. And so my solutions are negative 2 comma 11 and 5 negative comma 32, which is exactly what we found here on Desmos. On our test, we're not going to have our calculator, so just to remind you, we can do this in our GDC as well. And here are the steps we're going to do. I'm going to first put the equations in. So I know it was x, this button is x squared. What was it? Plus 7? Plus 7. And then y2 is going to be a negative 7x minus 3. And then I'm going to graph it. And I know the answers are going to be up here somewhere, so I'm going to change my window. The x values are going to leave the same. I want the y values to be higher up. I'm going to make this 40. And I'm only going to say that because I actually already know the answers. If I didn't know the answers, it'd be a lot harder to find how big to make my window. So the pixels aren't very good, but I know there's one here, there's one here. So here's where I use this calculate menu. It's in blue here, a really important menu. So second, calculate. I'm going to look for an intersection, which is number 5. It's asking me for the first curve, and this is my first curve, so I'll hit enter. This is my second curve. It's talking about the second curve. I hit enter, and I'm going to hit enter on the 0. And so then I can see my first answer is negative 211. To find the second answer, everything's the same except for the guess. I need to make my guess closer to negative 5. So I'm going to say negative 7 is my guess. Hit enter. And there we go, is our second point of intersection. And so there's our calculator. You can do the same thing. You need to practice using your calculator as well. Desmos is so much easier, I know, and it's intuitive and it's easy, but this is the technology you're going to have to use. It's not fair, it doesn't seem right, but that's reality. Good luck.